on to the energy education piece. And let's see. So I want to talk about incorporating renewable energy into the classroom. And I'm going to pull up the chat. I'll try not to multitask too much here with watching the chat, but then hopefully I can see if there's some burning questions that pop up. But I kind of want to keep this short. I just wanted to make sure that we're bringing this full circle when Tyler gave that presentation yesterday about renewable energy, which hopefully increased your own knowledge or maybe solidified some knowledge that you already had, especially for those who've taken classes from us before. But I wanted to then take that next step of, well, how then do you teach that in the classroom? Where are those resources for actually incorporating it in the classroom? So the first one, of course, is one that I talked about before during my energy efficiency presentation, which was the AK Energy Smart. So I just wanted to remind you that that is also available. There's a couple of lessons in there that are on or related to renewable energy, but of course the focus on this one is efficiency and conservation. But when you start talking about the actual renewable energy, one of the big programs that we work with is called the We Being REAP, is Wind for Schools. And so this is a national program that is currently funded by DOE, although it's shifting to a national nonprofit called Repowering Schools. And there are 12 states around the US that participate in this. And as part of that shift, they're also including solar energy. So it's like, the national nonprofit's called Repowering Schools. So it's renewable energy for schools, not just wind for schools, kind of shifting that focus as well. In the state, we had 7 turbines installed, kind of that 2009 and 2012 area. And so you've seen a couple of small ones like in Anchorage, but Begich, or there's one at Sherrod Elementary. Those were from this DOE Wind for Schools program. And we partner with the Alaska Center for Energy and Power. Like Heike is one of the people who works for ASAP, and Daisy Huang is our contact there. And REAP itself does a lot of that K through 12 outreach when we're doing lessons, either at schools that have wind turbines or communities that have wind. We are going into those schools and saying like, hey, here this wind turbine, what is this about? How does this actually work? So they're actually understanding what that wind is about, or solar too. Like I said, we're also shifting that focus to include solar education as well. Whether or not they have solar panels on their school, still including that solar education piece. And then we have these KidWind challenges, which you've probably heard me mention before. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But here are some examples of some of the lessons that we do when we work with students or if we're sharing with teachers. And like I'm seeing Mamie is one of the people who I can actually see on my screen. She took like my KidWind training. I have like 4 people, but Mamie's one of them, which is great. And she like took my KidWind training, and so she's familiar with some of these lessons. But they're great, like really basic. How does a windmill work? You can do things like wind can do work. And they do like build a windmill out of like a cup and paper and straws, right? So you don't need like some fancy kit, or you can get really fancy with these KidWind kits. And like Brooke also, we had a KidWind kit that we have some funding to give to give to teachers. Those who take our KidWind class get it. And so that is where you can also get pretty into like the turbine, or students can build their own from PVC as well, just get a little turbine and build their own from PVC. So there's a wide range of what you can do with these wind energy lessons, depending on what your level, what the student's level is, what you have available, what exactly you want to do with it. There's some pretty cool stuff that you can do with those lessons. And Joy, I'll get to your question here at the end. I'm going to go through these other lessons first, and then I'll answer a question about ABEC. So with the KidWind challenge, so this is related to Wind for Schools. A lot of the same people who do Wind for Schools also do KidWind challenges in their state, although it's not limited to just Wind for School states. I think they had 30 states last year who participated in KidWind challenge. So it's not just related to the 12 Wind for School states, but it also includes other states. In Alaska, we hosted one 2018, 2019. Our 2021, of course, had to be canceled. It was supposed to be March 18th, right after school was closed. So that didn't happen, but we're hopeful that we can, if we can't do an in-person one next year, we'll still do a virtual KidWind challenge next year. And there are state level competitions, which then qualify students to go to the national competition. So last year, you can see the Alaska contingent on this photo here. That was the first year that any Alaska teams had gone to the Kidwin Challenge. And so there were 3 teams that were able to go. And then myself and Taylor is also in the photo, who doesn't work at REAP anymore. We were able to go with them to help judge and support those teams while they were there. So it was really fun. And it's all about designing the wind turbines. So they build these wind turbines. Thanks, Thelma, for throwing that link in the chat about Kidwin, because they are great. And we do, they build them. Like I said, they can either use the kit and make the blades, or they can build it completely from scratch, whatever works for you. And then they test them in a wind tunnel. But it's not just about the power produced. It's also about, they have to present to judges, and they have to be showing their engineering process and the data that they collected, and they take a knowledge test. So it's like all of that together to be able to compete in the Kidwin Challenge. So it's really the whole package, and the students have a lot of fun with it. I mean, I've heard like from one of these teachers who's in this photo, she was like, yeah, I had this student who didn't like science until they did Kidwin, and then they suddenly thought that it was pretty cool. So some fun things can happen there. Okay, so then there's also solar, which, like I said, we're including solar energy and kind of that Wind for Schools umbrella as part of our work. We do a lot of solar outreach as well. So there's this human solar panel is one lesson that doesn't require like any supplies except some like ping pong balls or like foam balls or something. And so that you can do a fun lesson, or you can get these solar panels. We buy ours from Vernier. And again, we have some that we can either lend or give to teachers. And then you can explore, you know, at a small scale, how the solar panels work and the measurement. You can get into with more advanced students like parallel and series circuits. So those of you who took our energy literacy classes in June, you were able to explore with those, which was pretty fun. And then the last thing, so there's a lot of different things that we do, right? I'm gonna try to cover all of them. We do a lot of partnerships with people, like with AE Signs, AVEC. So with AVEC, we've partnered with them on something called the Power Pledge Challenge, which will be coming up this fall, mostly for middle school students, where we teach about energy efficiency. And Amy won that one year as well. She's just going to keep calling her out because I see her face right there. So Amy won that one year. We're going to do that virtually this year, of course, where we can do virtual presentation. The students go online and they pledge to reduce their energy use. And then they get entered to win prizes for their region. And then there's also a statewide prize as well. So if like we mostly focus on 6th, 7th, 8th. So if that sounds like something you'd like to do this fall, reach out to me. And that was one thing that we've partnered with AVEC on, is they're one of the utilities that is part of that Power Pledge Challenge. So we can do presentations in AVEC communities with that PPC. And then this thing, so shouldn't have thrown the slide up because you guys are probably wanting to know about this 10 data stations. I was talking about the Power Pledge Challenge, but these are, so we have, as part of this like grant, which I've mentioned a few times, which we got from Office of Naval Research. One of the things that I wrote in there was being able to purchase 10 of these Davis weather stations, which photo is here, which is compatible with Globe citizen science. They have protocols for using these to be able to collect data and being able to share that on the Globe website. And so we have 3 that are already spoken for, and potentially 4. I think Terry asked about this too. So we have 6 or 7 that are still available that we can loan to schools. We have an application process that is open now, which you can take those. These are just for Alaskan teachers. So in this case, for our organization, sorry, this is Alaska specific for this. But I would, if you're really interested in this, I would go to like Donors Choose and set something up. There's some like really great fundraising that can be done through there for if you're really interested in this. And then I have a link for this application. So if you want to do this, it's on our website. I'll have the link shared here. It's also on Canvas, the link for that. Or maybe Tyler can throw it in the chat here. And so you can apply for this. Basically, it is a loan, right? So REAP is still kind of owning them, but if you're still using it and using it for citizen science, I'm sure we can we can work with you for however long it is that you want to keep it and use it in your classroom. So these are about $1,000 including shipping. So it's about, if you have, and we also have the option, like if you choose to do the solar, because that's one of the things. And this, we want it, since it's coming from REAP, we're wanting some sort of like energy focus, but that can still be pretty broad. If you have more specific, I don't want to take up too much more time here. So if you have more specific questions, feel free to reach out to me about this. And the link, here we go. This is a bunch of links. I'll share this presentation on here, but you can also go to the weather education program to be able to share that. So let's see. Okay, can't copy the link from there and put it in. But you can go on to AlaskaRenewableEnergy.org under our initiatives and find the weather education program, which has this. And you will have access to the Canvas that could be it's open through April, right? Because you have submissions and stuff that will be open through April. So thanks, Tyler, for throwing that in. And I forgot to check. There might be like a deadline date on there from last year, so don't worry about that piece of it. I forgot to check that, see if it needed to be updated. So don't worry about that piece of it. If there is a deadline date on there, just send that in to us when you're able to get that filled out. And then there's some other links on here, but I also want to share that we've talked about NEED, we talked about CLEAN before, so you've seen that link. NEED has a bunch of lessons on all types of energy, so not just renewable energy, but they also do a really good job of getting into the basics of energy, but of course it's not Alaska specific, whereas some of the other things we have are Alaska specific. You can learn more about our STEM education and some Alaska specific things on our REAP website. Okay, there we go. I think I covered everything. Anything I missed, Tyler?
Nope, I think that was about it. We're going to be booting up our Power Pledge Challenge here in the next couple weeks, so look out for contacts from us about how to work with us on the Power Pledge Challenge.
Again, for Alaska teachers.
Sorry, Nicolette.
Okay, so Christy, handing it off to you.
Awesome, thank you so much. So I have a lot to share and I want to do it succinctly. So I made myself some notes, and if you want to follow along and make some notes, get a piece of paper, fold it into 4. And I started writing on my blank sheet that I was going to show you. Here we go. Here's my blank sheet. So here's what I've written on the top. I have observe in 1 quarter. I have collect data in 1 quarter. I have analyze data in 1 spot. And I have engage in another spot. And this theme today is star in the sky, star in the classroom. So you are all the stars, but your students are the stars as well. And we are all here in the center because of the youth. So if you want to follow along and take notes in kind of this way, please do that. I want to start by sharing number 1 under the observe is what have GLOBE students around the world observed during COVID. And you might be really surprised with what we hear. So this session was shared at the GLOBE virtual annual meeting, and GLOBE reached out to teachers and GLOBE students and asked them, the students, to share little videos of what they've observed during COVID. Enough said from me. I'm going to put it in full screen, and do give me a thumbs up, Colleen, if you're the one on my screen, if you can hear it, since this is on my other computer.
This is actually the perfect spot to just explain to you how coronavirus has had an impact on nature here. I've heard about the canals in Amsterdam. I live very nearby Amsterdam. And because of the coronavirus, there are less tourists, which leads to less boats on the canals. And that has led to less pollution in the water. So the water is way clearer and the light of the sun can reach deeper into the water, which allows more plants to grow, which again allows more life to be in the water, like more fish. And I was pretty amazed by that. And in such a short time period, such a massive change can take place.
Today, I have something to show you that I think it changed a lot because of COVID-19. Let's see it. In front of my house, we have the railway that the train usually runs about 6 p.m. The train had to stop because of COVID-19, and you can see that the side road is so beautiful and clean.
An observation that I thought was very interesting was there are new kinds of ducks that are called the black-bellied whistle ducks. They were very rare, but now they are common in Central Florida.
Nature is also recovering itself up, like the ozone layer is started to repairing itself. Endangered species such as tigers, pandas, rhinos have also increased their numbers. Rare birds like peacock, green pigeon and toucans are flying around easily without any fear.
Here in Nairobi, I can tell you that where I have gone, even if it is not far, I have noticed that it is not the way I left it. Right now, when I go places, there's grass in most areas, some green grass, the trees are taller and they have more leaves, not the way I left them. I think this is because they have been given more room to grow now that there are not that many cars. Plants will be able to clean the air, and this is good for everyone. It's a win-win situation.
One of the good changes that I came to know is that the level of air pollution in Delhi has reduced, and now we can breathe freely. And I saw that our rivers are now more clean and clear. Nature is more beautiful now. Animals came onto road to enjoy their freedom, while human was locked into his house.
First, improvement in air quality. Second, dolphins near Kolkata Ghats. Third, the flamingos increased in Mumbai. Water of river Ganga becomes fit for drinking in Haridwar. Fourth, the view of magnificent Himalayas from Jalandhar for the first time in 30 years.
We noticed that Earth is healing because we are not able to travel. So in small cities like UUID, we are walking to market with mask, of course.
Yeah, also the Ganges River is getting very pure day by itself. That's very wonderful, I should say. Also, the animals are feeling so free to move in the cities, and that's just a good scene to watch.
Today, I am going to talk about the changes that occurred in the surroundings. Due to the lockdown, people are sitting inside the house, so the water became cleaner and the nature is healing itself. Let's take an oath to protect the nature together as one.
I would like to add, it is up to us now whether we choose to either do something to change our actions for the better after the lockdown or continue on the path to global doom.
I hope everyone will be fine and we can go for it together. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
At last, I would like to say that stay home, stay safe.
So, at last I just want to say stay home, stay safe, and I hope you enjoy.
I believe that these changes which we have seen may end up on a good note, and we all can again live a happy life where we can play with our friends, go on vacations with our families, and enter the classroom with full enthusiasm.
Thank you for checking in. Bye.
I think that's it. Bye.
We made pancakes. We answered some questions. I think that's it. We can go now.
Bye.
So hopefully that inspired you. We're all in this class together because of youth. And when I saw that video on the last day of the Globe virtual annual meeting, I actually started tearing up because I think as an adult, I get really focused on the stress of trying to educate youth under COVID and you know, all these questions that we have together. And then you hear students actually observing nature, having clean air in their communities across the world. And Globe brought all of these youth together. And those students wouldn't have shared any of that had their teachers not have been Globe trained. So it all started with an educator, and those educators taught their students to observe. So in this little quadrant of observe, the first one was, what do students think? And I shared that. The second one is teaching students to observe. And I want to share 3 things in here that you can take notes on. Number 1 is Globe Observer resources available to you. So I've shared my screen. There's lots of clutter on here, but I shared the whole screen, so hopefully you see everything. That's my hope. Okay. Here on the Globe Observer website, it's observer.globe.gov. And when you go to Do Globe Observer, then you can click on the one that you are focused on. Facebook Live this morning, where students can use contact paper and a printable sheet and a magnifying glass and a dice, and they can count their own aerosols on a piece of paper. So that was elementary and high school thing that was available. I'm going to go ahead and click on clouds, and then I'll go to resource library. And hopefully it keeps up with me. It's going a little slow here. So when you go to the resource library, you will see, I've got too many windows open, I believe, tons of resources that you can use in the classroom. So here there are activities, full lesson plans, ready to go. There are handouts that you could do for about clouds, including a dichotomous key. There's videos, books, and tutorials. So that, if you're a beginning Globe teacher, Globe Observer Resources is a great place to start. The next thing I want to show you is kind of a step up a little bit from Globe Observer, and that's the actual Globe website. Now, some people have been confused by Globe Observer versus Globe, and I want to let you know that in this next year, Globe and NASA are joining those two. So it's going to be a lot simpler for you to find information without having to go to 2 websites. So I'll close that one. When you go to the Globe website and you're looking for activities to help teach students to observe, I like to start on the Do Globe page. And I like to search for, I'm one of those teachers who searches for what I can do. So I go to classroom activities. Hopefully this will be quick. So I've clicked on classroom activities and learning activities. And here you go. You can search by grade, band, and by protocol. And these are fantastic activities. They've all been vetted. They've all been used in the classroom and evaluated. Dr. Elena Sparrow has developed many of the pedosphere activities. And also we have Joy Hamilton here, who helped develop, Joy, I believe it was you who developed the Arctic bird migration protocol and learning activities. Okay. And no, not you. Okay, so Elena might correct me later on that one, but teachers have also contributed learning activities to these. So I'll go ahead and close that screen. I just added this one today because this is called Eyes on Earth, Eyes on the Earth. And when Dr. Paul Stackhouse was talking, I realized that this is a really good one to share. So I think I have to do a new screen share. Mamie, you're in my screen. Can you give me a thumbs up if you see an Earth with a bunch of satellites orbiting around? Sweet. Okay, so this is, you can download, if you go to eyes.nasa.gov, you can download Eyes on Earth. I already downloaded it. And right now, these are all the satellites orbiting. This is on 2 minutes per second. If you wanted to see it in real time, I click real time, and they're actually much slower than that. But the students like to see them fast. Now, if I wanted to click on Aqua, I can click there and actually see just what Aqua is seeing. There it is. It's kind of over, you know, it's Baja, you know, and over California, I think, if I scrolled in. And look, you can see the data that it is collecting right now. Surface temperature, daily temperature, and I'll just click off the top. Here is global temperature modeled right now. And so the red, deep dark red, you know, it is where Aqua is right now, which more focuses on air temperature, water as well. You know, it's well over 100 degrees in Fahrenheit. Now, if you wanted to see sea level rise and really start modeling that for students, there are 3D ways to start seeing that sea level is not just one depth. And you can see here in the Arctic, because of all this evaporation that's going on, the sea level is rising, and then there's other causes for sea levels to have variable elevation. So there's a lot of sea level variation over a 1 month period. And then students really love being able to actually click on the satellite. So let's go back to Aqua again, and I'll click on the mission. So here's where you can download the data, and I'm not seeing my little school bus. There we go. Now we're zooming with Aqua, and you can actually click on it and see, here it is. This is what it looks like. And you can compare the size, and I don't have it in full view right now, but you can stick on a student. There's the telescope mole. Anyways, you can play with it, but you can put a school bus up there. I just forget how to put the school bus on there. And you can, and students really love that because they can see themselves, they can see what a person would be and really play and explore with this. And then the advanced people can start actually downloading this real-time data. Okay, so I'm gonna stop that one. Sorry about the school bus. Okay, close that one. Okay, so those are three tools for actually helping students just make observations, you know, getting them out there. The second thing, under collect data, the first point that I wanted to make is it is good enough. Okay, it is good enough. Many, many teachers have told me that they have not shared their data with Globe because they didn't think it was good enough. And it breaks my heart. And I know some of the teachers that have told me that. I'm looking at you. I saw one smile back. It is okay if you don't think the data is good enough. We can help figure that out as scientists with NASA. It is better to help students get the experience making observations so their observations are better. Now, here is a seasoned teacher. Joy, I had to show how awesome you are. You started with Globe in 1996, and here's Anoka River School. She started with Globe and has added all these observations. You can see, you know, she and her students have thousands of observations, and she has now a Davis weather station that Colleen has offered for teachers. There are 163,880 data entries from Joy and her youth. There's 30 students right now participating, and yes, they do get Globe stars. That's on a separate page. That's on Joy's personal page. So I just wanted to share that so that you could actually just get started and be empowered. Okay. The next thing, and I'll
Christy,
close that
before you
one.
get too much further, there's a couple
I'll
questions.
minimize this and then stop sharing briefly. Okay. The next thing that I wanted to share is that Marilee Colon-Roble with Globe has told me that Globe Observer has a great way to make teams. And she also said that students' data, this is some of the questions that came up yesterday, students' data are pretty private. They're on 100-meter square, you know, so there's some data within that 100-meter square, but it will not post any precise locations from students. They use a military grid. So I'm going to reshare again. And
Christy, can you hear me?
Log back into Observer. I wish I hadn't closed the window because Marilee told me that there's 2 ways to make teams. And she said that the easiest one to make them is actually in the Globe Observer app. So I want you to look right now, and you can write in the chat, can you find the make a team? Look at your app right now and look for make a team in your Globe Observer app. Share in the chat if you can do this. Oh, Colleen, you're trying to get my attention.
I don't think you can hear me. I can hear you. Oh my gosh, we're in a commercial. That's all right. Just check the questions.
You can't hear me? You can hear me. Okay, what do I need to do? Go ahead and
Christy,
speak,
can you
Colleen
hear
or
me?
Nicolette. Oh,
yeah.
There we go. My
I'm
speakers
talking.
are off. Say again, Nicolette.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, I was just trying to pause you. There was a couple questions that came in that I didn't know an answer for. I was trying to grab your attention.
Yes, please.
We moved on to the next topic, but you couldn't hear me, so it didn't work.
I have 2 speakers on and I didn't want feedback and I forgot to turn it back on when I was playing.
It's all good. So Brooke asked, do you need a plugin to access the NASA eyes?
No, you don't.
Okay. And then Joy asked, what's with the weird green ribbon at the south end of the map? So I don't know if that's easy to answer without looking at the map right now.
Yes, the ribbon is actually the swath of data. Oh, you mean you're talking about the water elevation. Okay. I'll have to get back to you on that and find out more specifically what you're talking about there.
And then Holly asked, and I think this is an important one too, can kids access Globe and the Globe observation, or is it just teachers?
Kids can access Globe also. So there's 2 things to know. Any family can create a user account and they'll be just what's called a citizen scientist. It could be any age, but it won't link back, like you saw all of Joy Hamilton and Oco River Schools data. It won't link back to the teacher if families just create their own Globe Observer account. The way to link it back to the teacher is that you create teams or you create student accounts. So that's a really good question.
And then there was a question yesterday that I'm not sure got answered about whether you can turn off whether that data gets put on the map or not, because I think there was some concern for privacy, especially if students are doing these from home.
Right. So that's a great question. And I did ask the cloud lead on that. So the map will show observations within the 100 square meter military grid. To actually collect the data and have it not show up on Globe Observer, you would collect the data and then you would have to submit the data to Globe, not Globe Observer, but manually submit the data to Globe, and there is a help Globe implementation office that can gather the data but not have it show up. So that's another step. And if that's what you're interested in, email me and I'll get you hooked up with globehelp@ucar.edu, I think is the email. So great question. And that data privacy. Another question that came up yesterday was adding a fix later. And I realize now that since some of you weren't set up as Globe trained yet, maybe you hadn't done all of your e-trainings yet. And once this class is done, I click that you're trained. Then you can actually go and edit your observations, but they don't necessarily have you edit them until you've been trained to edit them. So for those of you who wanted to know how to go back and put in temperature, once you're trained, you'll be able to see and do that. Okay, so also under collect data, I wanted to show this setting up Globe teams for everyone. So I'm going to reshare. And I'll go there. Phew. Here's the Globe teams. How did I find it? I went to do Globe Observer and then do more and then teams. And it looks like Laura, you wrote in the chat and others wrote in the chat that you can find it. So this is the easiest step-by-step way to do Globe teams. And I know about 5 of you are informal educators, and maybe you'll do a wildlife. You'll be out wondering how climate change affects wildlife, and you'll start collecting data. Maybe the snow depth, maybe there's not enough snow and the berries get exposed to the elements like those in Kongiganak mentioned. So here's how you can create teams for informal educators, sorry. And then if you wanted to join a team, say some of you teachers, I heard that maybe Boston and Toledo, Ohio might be interested in, comparing data amongst high schoolers, putting that out there. You can actually create a team between schools as well. Okay, so I'm going to move now to how to analyze data. So I showed Joy, you got tons of data. What do you do with it all? How do you have to help the students? I know Joy's putting her hands up to her face. What do I do with all this data? So here's the next part of this today is how do we analyze data with youth? The first thing is to visualize the data. Okay, so I went over here on the Globe website, you can view the data. And I went in, it's kind of slow once you start. So I went and clicked visualization system and they give you some steps right away on the left. And I clicked on that I wanted to see cloud photos from yesterday. And I wanted to see all the cloud types and the cloud cover. So let's look at this. These all in Alaska for the most part. I'll zoom, now we're in Hudson Bay. Zoom out, drag over here. Here we go. These are you. These are your pictures from yesterday. This is awesome. Let's see. I'm going to click here because I'm using Joy's pictures here. This is what it looked like yesterday. Would you nod, Joy, if this is what it was? Yep. So these are her pictures from yesterday, and we heard about her bison, and there's her bison. Now, Joy, I'll pick on you. Globe actually needs the downward picture, and you know this now, because they're trying to match to the satellite seeing downward. And this is straight up, this is west, this is south, east. Okay, question for you in the chat. You can see a little bit of a halo here around the sun, yes? Write in the chat what kind of clouds these are. Okay, I'm hearing cirrus and I'm hearing alto cirrus. So, Elena Sparrow, are you still on right now? Lena, are you on? Could you jump in and talk about the difference between being able to observe alto cirrus versus cirrus clouds? Help me out. I can't see her because I'm sharing my screen.
Sorry, it took me a while to find the unmute button. So if you see a halo, it is the cirrostratus. But if it's a dull color, it's the alto, because it's not as clear. It's an alto stratus. But looks like you can see the halo, so it must be.
So we actually can see two halos here. Here's the sun, here's the first halo that's around it. And then if I zoomed in on the picture, which you could do with students, you could zoom in and you could see the second halo. So Joy, did you say that it was a high cloud, a cirrus? Yep, thumbs up. And she's been doing this since 1996, everybody. So I would trust Joy. Awesome. So that kind of gives you an idea of how to get started with helping youth analyze some of these data by just looking at people's observations, even if they are just beginners making their own. Okay, now the next thing I wanted to share with analyzing data is actually downloading some of this data. Okay. Let me get out. There's a lot of things that you can do. I can turn off these cloud pictures and see the cloud coverage. I can click on individual sites. I can compare various schools. I can filter, but to analyze data, you can actually download it from the Globe website. I'm gonna go ahead and close this, and I know that I'm getting shorter on time. So, here is Globe data, and you can visualize data and you can retrieve data. So I like to retrieve a spreadsheet of everybody's data because I'm a educator, and I like to see what my students actually did all on one page. So I simply click retrieve data, and it outputs a big spreadsheet for me. And I do this with now I used to teach grades 6 through 11, but now I teach undergrads, and every single undergraduate student did a Globe investigation. So I could get their data very easily this way. Okay, now the last thing I wanted to do, the last box here, is empower. So this is what is so exciting. I love this. This is my favorite part. Students who have done Globe can do one of two ways of sharing their investigations through student research reports. There are international virtual science symposia with over 150 judges and translated into all these languages, and students can actually participate in a worldwide symposium from their homes. There is also, and we're hosting one in Fairbanks, hopefully COVID-free next April, regional science symposia. So on the left of this, and where did I get this? This is under the breadcrumbs here are home, do Globe, research and resources, and then student research reports. It's all on this left menu, and the teaching resources tell you everything you need to meet the requirements for Globe posters or presentations. So I'm gonna go ahead and search or filter. Hopefully it's gonna be quick. I had a teacher email me saying that maybe clouds might be a little bit challenging for first graders. So let's find out what first graders have done with, let's see, our atmosphere protocols are air temperature, clouds, and wind. That's what we've been doing during this training. And let's search lower primary. Apply the filter. It's processing. And I will close with a 1-minute video when this comes up, and then we're gonna go to our breakout rooms. All right. You can start seeing that, oh my goodness, I love it. It came up first. You can see all these projects that students have done from around the world, from the Mojave Desert. These are all K through 2 projects here. I'm going to click on Can Clouds Help Me Predict Weather? And I'm going to view, this is Rochester School and this is in Columbia. So let's see what they did as their little video. I will, you can see it because I've screen shared, but I don't think you'll be able to hear the volume. Can you hear volume? Okay. What are you doing? Watching the clouds. Why are you watching the clouds? What cloud are you watching? I am watching the Syracuse cloud. Thank you. And you? I am watching Nimbus Travis. Thank you very much. Awesome. Uh-oh, it's on autoplay. Don't keep playing. Hey guys. I'm gonna turn off my video. There we go. You can't hear it now. So at that point, I mean, this is the fastest overview of Globe that I've ever done in my life. And I know that it was somewhat slow and I'm sorry because we do, what's most important today is that we hear and we share all of you. And so now I wanna, hold on a second. Too many things to share. Now we want to go into our breakout sessions. So I actually made a little guide for what we can talk about in our breakout sessions. And I am going to share my other screen. And we will be in breakout sessions for about 15 minutes. Then we'll come to the big group and then we'll close. That's our next half hour. So in your big breakout session, or your small breakout sessions, here are the 4 things that we hope that you will talk about. What questions do you still have? And if no one in your group can answer them, please share them in the big group when we return. Since we didn't get to share the Energy Choice Project, this is something you could do here in your breakout session. Talk about what will you implement in something from this course, how will you implement something from this course with your youth, and also what was the most interesting or engaging thing that you learned or did during this session. All right, are there any questions before I assign you all into breakout groups?
Christy, I'm gonna try to put those questions in the chat really quick.
Can't hear you, Colleen. Oh, yes, I can. Sorry.
I'm gonna put those questions in the chat so they can still see them when they go to the breakout room. So before you send them, I'm going to do that.
That is awesome. I'm putting 5 to 6 participants per room. And we are going to be here in our breakout sessions for only 15 minutes. Does that sound about right, Colleen? It's 11:30 now. Okay. All right, give me a thumbs up, Colleen, when you're ready for me to create the rooms and automatically assign people. In the meantime, go ahead and start thinking of these questions.
Okay, so it's there so that you guys can see those questions. You can click on the chat when you go to your breakout rooms to be able to still see those. And
oh, that's fantastic. All right.
Hey, Christy.
Thank you.
Sure. How about, I'd love to hear from each breakout, or at least from a couple of breakout rooms, of some big takeaways that you guys had, and if there were any burning questions that were still left that you can help each other answer. So I guess I'll start with that. First of all, if there are any burning questions that you couldn't answer, probably the easiest is if you can do the raise hand function in participants, then I can call on you and we can help answer that. And then if I don't see that or anything in the chat, I'll make sure I was trying to make sure we had time for that at the end of the class, so there wasn't all that. Okay, not seeing that. So then I would love to hear at least 2 volunteers from 2 different breakout rooms, kind of some big themes that you heard from your breakout rooms of like your integration or your inspiring of things that you thought were really inspiring and engaging. So can I get a raised hand for that? Or I'm gonna pick on somebody.
They're gonna make us have a facilitators call them out. I can see it now.
Mm-hmm. All right, Nicolette.
Yay.
So things that I found that were really engaging were really any of the hands-on things. So getting out and actually using the app. I was saying in my group, I teach AP Environmental Science and Environmental Science, and labs are 25% of my course. But with not knowing if we're going back, and also if we are going back, I can't have students do labs. So I wanted to be able to have them do authentic data experiences. So things where using materials at home or using like low cost supplies. So things like just getting a thermometer, or they're going to be able to do like to use the app at home or to do possibly these other setups would be really a great way to like keep them engaged and have them do actual science.
That's great. Thank you, Nicolette. That's what we were hoping. One of the things we were hoping you'd get out of this class. So yay. Okay, any other volunteers for sharing something from your breakout room? Looking at videos and the participant list, if there's any raised hands. If not, I'm going to pick on Mamie because I picked on her earlier too. And I know that she can handle it.
I thought in the course in general, same kind of thing as Nicolette thought or said, like, figure out a way to do real science. But I thought it was interesting, the people from all over the country, and the lady that was just in mine, I forget her name, that's on St. Lawrence Island, how I just love chatting with her about how they're going to try to, or her hope is to get those windmills going again. And I think that, or wind turbines going again. I think that would be awesome. So that was very interesting.
Awesome, thank you. I love the engagement with the community, right? This is not just in the school. That's what I love about Globe too, is really encouraging like right outside of school and then engaging with your community. So that's great. Thank you, everybody. And I do want to share an administrative thing here. I was getting, I know that the whole peer review thing was a bit confusing that we kind of threw at you in that break, and I apologize for that. You should have peer review assigned. I'm going to kind of quickly show you, if you didn't get that email, where you might find it if the person who you were assigned to has submitted it. So again, back to our favorite student view on my screen, and you're looking at the energy choice activity. So under assignments, energy choice activity. And then here, of course, this test student isn't assigned anybody, but that is where you will find the assigned peer reviews would be right there. So if you guys can't figure, this is, I'd have to check a rubric. I don't think we have this as a graded assignment to do the peer review. We're just more wanting to find a way that you guys could see each other's files and submissions on this so that you could see some of each other's work. But obviously we didn't execute it that well, but there it is for you to be able to check out. And I will turn it over to you, Christy, for the final celebration and closing. You're still muted. There you go.
Okay, there we go. And what I will do during this time is I will share your certificate that you can actually download yourself soon in your own, when you log into Globe in your member account, you'll be able to see this certificate or something very, very much like it. And what I wanted to do in closing is just have Dr. Elena Sparrow speak about this community. You're now part of this family. And I'll just turn it over to her, and while she's talking, I'll share this certificate.
Thank you, Christy. First of all, I'm grateful to all of you, taking the time to take and participate in this course. And of course, to the people who've been leading this course, Christy, Colleen, Tyler, Deshana, helping out, and Katie Spellman. And so I have been with Globe for almost since Globe started. So I started the Globe program in Alaska in 1996. And Joy, got in there right away too. But to me, it's not just an organization, but it's more like a family to me. Every time I've gone to the Globe annual meeting, I meet and re-meet and rejoin and get to know more and more the different members of the Globe family from different communities all over the world, but also from all over the United States. And what is heartening is this is the way that actually I think the world should operate, where we are understanding each other and working together instead of trying to, outcompete or put down each other. But here it's a celebration of our accomplishments, especially of the youth, who is the future of our communities and countries. And so I'm excited that you're all part of this Globe community now. And Colleen is one example of where she's been trained so many years back, and she got on her own, and she now leads this energy program, and still remembers being a Globe teacher and incorporating the principles that she's learned, and in fact offering this weather station as a part of her the energy program that she's leading. And so we have, and so you all are stars in this classroom, and we welcome you. And one of the suggestions that came up in the chat is a kind of a reunion, a follow-up get together sometime during the year before April 2021 comes along. So I think we'll try and do a poll, and maybe even have 2 different times if we can't get one that everybody can join in. And so with that, I thank you all, and I welcome you to the Globe family and community.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elena. And we especially thank all of you. We have about 29 of you who stuck through it to the end. We have 40 who registered. We do know that several teachers had a conflict today, but they're going to be finishing on Canvas. We do have some closing tasks for everyone to do. One of them is to complete the post survey, which I put in the chat. The post survey is also in Canvas. And if we want to have some sort of a reunion, we're very open to it. I'd love to do a poll, but I've learned that I can't start one if I didn't already create it in Zoom. And lastly, many of you wanted to know how to connect to Dr. Paul's Stackhouse. So that's a conversation with Bonnie Murray and with Elena and myself. Please go ahead and send me an email. But one thing that Bonnie shared is that you've got to have data first. So make sure you're collecting your data, make sure you have some ideas about what you would want to talk about with Paul Stackhouse. And then Bonnie said that he would answer your students' questions. So with that, I just think that I'm really thrilled and honored to work with Renewable Energy Alaska Project, and I don't want to be the last person to talk. So if Colleen and Tyler and Deshanna, you could also just have a quick send off to all of our participants.
Yes, I realized we had an important piece that we didn't cover before we leave. One of those teachers put in there, can you talk about the final project? Yes, we should talk about that. So I'll do a quick overview, and I'll also mention that all assignments except for your implementation and final project are due by August 31st. So if you didn't get everything done in these 4 days, we have a little bit of leeway there. We do want them done by the end of the month. So please do those. And then your final project you have until the end of April to implement globe and energy climate things in some way with however you work with youth. It's very open-ended, but some sort of implementation and data collection that you are reporting to Globe. And those, whenever you get that in, we can grade that and submit your grade then. So it won't necessarily be until the end of April that you get your credit. It's whenever you complete yours that then we can submit the grades online and you'll get that credit. So Christy, anything else to add to that final project piece?
Yes, so the final reflection paper, we're following Universal Design for Learning, which some of you may know that involves some choice, and it also involves a lot of flexibility in what that project's going to look like. So be creative. For example, the Energy's Choice assignment, I got videos sent to me, and I want you to share those, of course, with each other and on Canvas. That could be an option. Other people did a Google slideshow. Other people might want to do a storyboard or submit lesson plans or submit photos. Now, one thing super important, we do want your photos. We also ask that youth fill out a photo release form. And one teacher asked me, can we do DocuSigns with youth on photo release forms? So Deshanna's learned a lot this week about actually the ins and outs of the university allowing us to do that volume of DocuSigns. So if that's something that you need, let me know, and Deshanna will teach me how to do it.
Or we can tag team.
If our schools already have a signed release from students, do we still need to get one for University of Fairbanks?
Yes, that's a great question, Linda. I really appreciate it. We do. I sent it in the welcome email, and I could definitely post that in Canvas so you all have it. What that does is it engages youth and their parents in the Arctic and Earth Science Project, which means that NASA could use their data and photos. What NASA does, and I make these with Elena, we make these NASA nuggets that share your work and your projects. And then NASA selects some of these, and they're just really great graphics of you know, kids doing fun things. And then what NASA does is they select some of these to share with NASA and then make basically an annual coffee table book that then goes to the President of the United States. So it won't be enough to have your school permission form. It'll have to be our Arctic and Earth Science permission form. Now, not everybody gets their, you know, globe project to the president, but that is an option.
Another
that?
Another quick question. I've used the trees one before and have fit it into my class. Can I submit that, or does it need to be the atmosphere, an atmosphere related one?
So the answer to that is it's awesome you're still doing globe. We do ask that you infuse something from this course. So since this class was climate and energy with specific with atmosphere, that's awesome if you could integrate maybe air temperatures with your tree measurements.
Well, actually, we do carbon sequestration. That's the goal. And
that
works? Okay.
Yes.
There was a question here, Christy, about if they have to submit data to Globe as part of it, as part of this course. I mean, I'm sure if you don't want to submit any, we can probably work with you if that's not going to work for you at all. But we do encourage, now that you're a Globe trained teacher, that at least once you do something, even if it's just air temperature or something that you can submit.
Or clouds.
Or clouds or.
So what you have to do is up to you. The rubric on the back of the syllabus basically says how everything's going to be evaluated. And it's only worth 3 points for the Globe implementation. So if you did not use any Globe measurement protocol, you would get a score of 0 out of 3 in that category, but you could still get an A in the class if you took it for credit. So use your rubric, figure out, do the student thing, figure out what you have to do. But yes, we do give that as an option. However, you're getting your credits paid for with the hope that you will do some Globe observations.
I have already shared kind of the Globe idea with one of my teacher colleagues who teaches IB environmental science. Is it something that she could be trained in Globe so she could possibly participate in this as well?
Yes, she could be e-trained on the Globe website.
And Jen, I would also add that if you're willing, you could share the resources from Canvas that you have with her.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, well, we want to let you go on time here on our very final day. So again, thank you. And you've inspired me. I'm really excited for the school year now. And we have a way in Zoom, if you want, at the end of the meeting, you can share some of your reactions. You could do a thumbs up, a round of applause. And I just know that I am applauding all of you. And we're also, Elena, Katie, and I at the Arctic Inner Signs, Colleen and Tyler at REAP are all here for you all year round as you implement the project. And I did hear from a teacher just now that they want to get the project done in September and get the grade done right away. You can do that. Once you're done with the project and we find it in Canvas, we'll grade it and Dr. Elena Sparrow will post that grade as soon as you're done.
We're all available, or most of us are available for virtual presentations as well. So I know we talked about that in our breakout session, so reach out to us if you'd like one of us to have our faces on your screen. We can do that.
Thank you, Jane.
All right, thank you all. You guys have a great rest of the day. Feel free to reach out with any questions and really look forward to continuing to work with all of you.
Thank you, it was really great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, Laura. Bye, Denise.
Thank you. So hard to say goodbye.
Yeah. Hugs.
I'm going to do that. I'm clicking off. Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Laura.
Quick question, and I'm sorry